Dolphins dub. Miami takes down Buffalo for the first time since 2022.
Inter Miami moves on after a shutout in the MLS Playoffs.
And hitting the water, Sideline has coverage of the offshore world champions in the Keys. All of this and more on the Sideline.
Hello, South Florida, and welcome to the Sideline, the place where you get all the highlights for your South Florida teams. I'm Raquel Kirk.
And I'm Sabrina Lozano, and the Sideline starts now. The Dolphins beat the Bills. Yes, you heard that correctly. Miami finally secured a victory against Buffalo since 2022.
Miami put their defense up front, shutting out the Bills in the first half with 3 takeaways and 3 sacks. They kept it the same pressure for the rest of the game and eventually snapped their 7-game losing streak to their divisional rivals. The final score was Buffalo 13, Dolphins 30. The Dolphins play the Washington Commanders in Madrid next Sunday for NFL's first game in Spain.
Inter Miami fans are still celebrating this morning after a great victory this past weekend. Inter Miami defeated Nashville SC during the 3rd game of the first round of MLS Playoffs. Lionel Messi and Tadeo Allende each contributed 2 goals, leading to a 4-0 victory. The team now advances to the conference semifinals on November 23rd against FC Cincinnati.
The Miami Heat remain undefeated at home after holding the Portland Trailblazers off in a high-scoring win. Nikola Jovic came off the bench with a career-high 29 points, adding 9 rebounds and 7 assists to lead Miami. Jaime Jaquez Jr. chipped in with 14 points and 12 boards. The Heat improved 4-0 despite missing Bam Adebayo for the 2nd straight game. The final score was Portland 131, Heat 136. Miami will play the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight at 7:30.
The Dolphins weren't the only ones dominating at the Hard Rock. The Miami Hurricanes faced the Cypress Orange at home. Miami's defense was on fire, forcing 3 turnovers and recording 7 sacks. Jacoby Thomas led the way with a sack, a fumble recovery, and an interception. On offense, quarterback Carson Beck threw for 247 yards and 2 touchdowns, helping the Canes improve to 7-2 on the season. The final score was Syracuse 10, Hurricanes 38. The University of Miami will host NC State next week on Saturday at 3:30 p.m.
Over in sunny California, it was the San Jose Sharks that took a 3-1 victory against the Florida Panthers. The Sharks came out strong, firing 5 shots in the first 6 minutes before Macklin Celebrini finally scored off with a pass from Will Smith. Adam Gaudette made it a 2-0 early in the 2nd quarter, but Brad Marchand quickly cut the lead after Yarso Arsavok fumbled his mask. Florida had a brief 5-on-3 chance, but it was the Sharks who cleared the puck. The Panthers will stay in the West Coast against the Las Vegas Golden Knights tonight at 10 p.m.
The Florida Keys are typically home for a relaxing getaway, but last week, Key West was filled with enthusiasm for powerboat racing.
Caplin's Dylan Pazet has more on the 44th Annual Offshore World Championships.
We're not cowboys. We know what we could do. This is a very tough site, with 2 half-point races and then a full point. We've won races here before, but we've always been robbed of the podium, always. And I think we're on the podium today.
For years, race fans have come to Truman Waterfront Park and other areas of Key West to get a glimpse of offshore powerboats flying across the water. But the water isn't the only place you can see these big boats. You can also come to the dry pits here at Truman Waterfront Park to get up close and personal with both the boats and the race teams.
Without the fans, we'd be nothing. We'd be just a couple of guys running around in circles out there. So it actually is exciting for us when you have these guys come out. Oh, I saw you in Cocoa Beach. Oh, I saw you here. Can I take your picture, please? Let me take your picture. That makes it for us. That's why we're here. That's what we do it for. We do it for our fans. So we welcome them to the pits any and every time. Take as many pictures as they want. Ask us questions. That's what we're here for.
Key West is known as one of the most difficult powerboat race courses on the planet for a reason, with several slips, and incidents throughout the weekend, newly crowned two-time Pro Class 1 World Champion throttleman Billy Moore gave his opinion on the risks of Key West.
No, I mean, things happen. I've been involved in crashes. I've had several crashes on my own throughout the years racing. You watch this stuff, you see it, but you always look at it, you run your own race, and if you're a real racer, you kind of block that out.
If you ever want to watch offshore boats race for an entire week, then make sure you come to Key West November to catch the 45th Annual Offshore World Championships. And if you can't wait that long, the season will start anew in Cocoa Beach in May. Reporting from Key West, I am Dylan Pizet, Caplin News.
We need to go to break, but stick around because here's what's next on the sideline. We have our W and Ls lined up and ready to go. Sideline will take a timeout and return after the break.
Radcliffe Art and Design Incubator is the velocity accompanying the fellow's rudder, as in a boat. Unless there is movement or action, the planned direction is of little consequence. We encourage the creative ideas into action, and from the experience of doing, we critically assess the feedback, adjust, and set out to rediscover the potentialities of an entrepreneurial mindset.
Stand is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Welcome back, and now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, our biggest W and Ls of the week. I'll start us off, Raquel. My biggest W goes to Boca Juniors, who took down their biggest rivals, River Plate, 2-0 in Sunday's Super Clásico at home. Goals from Ezequiel Ceballos and Miguel Merentiel sealed the win, giving Boca their third straight league victory and putting them on top of Group A with 26 points. That also guarantees them a spot in next year's Copa Libertadores. Meanwhile, River has lost 6 of their 7 matches and sits 6th in Group B. Boca showed up, delivered, and gave their fans a win to remember.
That sounds incredible. Now, my biggest win this week isn't a score or a point gained, but how a retired Formula One champion is bringing awareness to the racetrack. In the heart of the Brazilian Grand Prix on Sunday, 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel launched an initiative called F1 Rest, Draw Together. It invites drivers, fans, and community members to draw trees, symbolizing unity and our collective effort to protect the environment. These drawings come together in a massive collage displayed at the Sao Paulo racetrack, a powerful visual of global solidarity and environmental conservation. The Amazon rainforest currently produces 20% of the Earth's oxygen. Unfortunately, it has lost 70% of its forest coverage over the past 50 years due to deforestation. This loss not only threatens biodiversity, but also fuels climate change, making it a critical global issue. Vettel saw the opportunity and he used it in front of a massive audience in the Sao Paulo Grand Prix to shine light on the crisis and spark conversation. He used this platform not only for glory, but for change, showing true champion characteristics.
Wow, that sounds like someone who is making a real difference in their sport. And transitioning off of you, someone who isn't making a difference in their sport is Luis Suarez, who is my biggest L. He served his one-game suspension on Saturday against Nashville after being handed a post-game ban for kicking Andy Najar during Game 2. And this is already his second suspension of the 2025 season. Remember, he was also suspended 3 games earlier this year for spitting on a Seattle Sounders staff member after the League's Cup final. And it's just sad to see such a world-class player, one of the most talented strikers of his generation, continue to act out like this. Suarez brings so much skill and passion to the game, but these moments keep overshadowing what he does best on the field, and that's why he's my biggest L.
I mean, it's sad, but it's also gross. Like, he's out here spitting on people. It also sounds kind of similar to my L this week, Sabrina. Goes out to, I'm gonna stick with motorsports because it goes out to my Formula One team, Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton started P13. He gets pushed, and then Franco Colapinto hits his front wing so badly it was dragging underneath the car, damaging the rear suspension and throwing off an already slow Ferrari. But not to fear, at least we had one Ferrari sitting in third ready to bring home another podium, right? Wrong. The moment the safety car ended, Oscar Piastri and Kimi Antonelli got into a tussle that ended with Charles Leclerc's front left tire popping right off, dragging his suspension with it and forcing him to retire. Did I say things couldn't get any worse? Well, they do. Hamilton got slapped with a 5-second penalty for causing a collision with Carlos Sainz. At that point, Ferrari basically put us out of our misery. Hamilton's name stayed at the bottom of the list, and the team decided to retire his car since the balance was so awful and the pace was non-existent. With the Constructors' Championship out of reach, landing second would still be nice, but since Ferrari did not put any points on the board while Mercedes and Max Verstappen cruised on the podium, they've dropped from second to 4th place. 36 points behind, not exactly how I was looking to end my weekend.
Okay, so let's move on from your bad weekend, Raquel.
Please.
Now it's time for this week's game picks.
Sideline's Alejandro Hernandez gives us his insight on what's to come.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alejandro Hernandez with this week's game picks. Let's kick things off with tonight's matchup between the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Heat took advantage of weak matchups against the Hornets and the Trailblazers in their last 2 games without star big man Bam Adebayo. However, I think the Cavaliers present a much tougher challenge, and without Bam, I expect the Heat to struggle defensively and on the glass as Cleveland holds a significant size and strength advantage. So with that being said, give me the Cavs to take down the Heat in Miami by a score of 129-118. Now let's move on to Game 1 of the MLS Conference semifinals on Friday as Inter Miami square off against FC Cincinnati. Inter Miami has closed out their series against Nashville on Saturday in dominating fashion, winning 4-0, led by none other than Lionel Messi. So I expect this relatively old Inter Miami squad to take advantage of the extra rest and take care of business in Cincinnati by a score of 2-1. And now for my favorite pick of the week, we head to Madrid for the NFL's first ever game in Spain as the Miami Dolphins will take on the Washington Commanders. If Dolphins fans are frustrated with how this season has turned out, Commanders fans might have it even worse. Washington is riding a 5-game losing streak for a multitude of reasons. Franchise quarterback Jaden Daniels is out indefinitely with a dislocated elbow, and the defense ranks dead last in scoring. Simply put, I think this Washington team cannot catch a break, and I believe the Dolphins will ride the momentum of yesterday's dominant win over the Buffalo Bills and handle this reeling Commanders team with ease. So give me the Dolphins to win 31-17 in Madrid. And that is all for this week's game picks. I'm Alejandro Hernandez. Back to you guys in the studio.
Just a reminder that if you want to keep up with updates, fun segments, and more from our crew, you can follow us on our Instagram for all things Sideline. Follow us at sideline.caplin. And that's it for today. I'm Sabrina Lozano.
And I'm Raquel Kurt. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on The Sideline.